She had been crying for God knows how long. The distance covered was unknown. "Is this how—" Just like that. Inaudible mutters and sobs left her lips. As she walked, completely oblivious of her surroundings, she felt a hand on her shoulder. She turned sharply, only to see Kwabena looking at her compassionately. At that moment, her sobs broke out, and the already dried eyes overflowed with fresh tears. Kwabena didn't say a word, just took her hands and began to go home. Zainab was quite astonished at the distance she had covered in her moment of soliloquy. It wasn't up to 10 minutes before they arrived at his house. Once they were settled, Kwabena placed his hands on her shoulders. "What happened?" he asked in a soft tone. Zainab decided to tell him the truth. Looking at his eyes, she hesitated at first, but then found the strength to tell him how Chidi had taken advantage of her. Kwabena dropped into his chair, shaken to his core. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. The virgin he loved, the one he had kept himself for, had now been defiled. He stood up in anger and demanded that Zainab take him to Chidi's house. But fearing what Kwabena might do, Zainab refused. She worried he might do something irreversible, something violent. In truth, she feared he could kill Chidi. Her refusal only fueled Kwabena's rage. It also sparked suspicion. He paused and thought, why won't she let me confront Chidi? Was she really forced, or did she go to his house willingly? What was she even doing there in the first place? Doubt crept into his heart, and no matter how much Zainab pleaded, Kwabena started to believe she wasn't telling him everything, but Zainab had spoken the truth. Sadly, the damage was already done. No matter what he believed, one fact remained. Zainab was no longer a virgin, and that broke Kwabena. Right there, he told Zainab that the wedding was canceled. He had always wanted to court a virgin, and now that Zainab had lost hers, even though it wasn't her fault, he said he could no longer go through with the marriage. Zainab was devastated. She begged, but Kwabena's mind was made up. What had once been a beautiful love story crumbled. It was time to move on. Kwabena was deeply emotional and couldn't handle the pain of what had happened, so he made the decision to leave Akan and start afresh in a new town. He hoped moving would help him forget Zainab and the tragedy, but he didn't know that the trauma would haunt him for months. He relocated to a place called Ogidi, where he built a new clinic and bought a home. His skills as a doctor quickly gained him popularity. Soon, people from all over came to him for treatment, and he became beloved in the village. But no one knew that, inside, Kwabena was battling demons. One day, a 19-year-old girl visited his clinic for treatment. She reminded Kwabena of Zainab, same height, same complexion. The memories came flooding back. He asked her a strange question, if she was still a virgin. When the girl said yes, something inside Kwabena snapped. Without thinking, he locked the door and did something he had never done before. He assaulted the girl. Afterward, he ordered her to leave and threatened her, saying no one would believe her because of how respected he was. The girl, terrified of being shamed, said nothing. That was the first time Kwabena committed such an act, but it wouldn't be the last. He began violating every virgin girl who came to his clinic. As twisted as it was, he felt a sick satisfaction from it. He believed life had robbed him of happiness when Zainab was violated. He might as well spread the love. Now, he told himself, this was how he would reclaim control, by taking purity from others. Every time a young girl came to him, the first thing he asked was about her virginity. If she said yes, he would do the unthinkable. Then he would warn her to stay silent, reminding her that no one would dare accuse the beloved doctor of Ogidi. The girls were scared. They knew how much the village adored Kwabena. No one would believe them, not even their parents. And so he continued, using his clinic as the perfect cover for his wickedness. But unknown to him, his time was almost up. Whispers of what he was doing started to spread among the village girls. Though the elders hadn't heard yet, the younger women were beginning to talk. One victim told her older sister, Tolulope, what had happened. Tolu was shocked, but also skeptical. She had always seen Dr. Kwabena as a kind man, and she needed to confirm the truth for herself. So she devised a plan. One day, she went to his clinic, carrying two things: a tiny container of ground pepper and a hidden tape recorder. When she arrived, Kwabena locked the door as usual and asked if she was a virgin. Tolu answered yes. When he moved in to harm her like he did the others, she quickly pulled out the pepper and threw it into his eyes. Kwabena screamed in pain, frantically searching for water. That's when Tolu turned on the tape recorder. While groaning and clutching his eyes, Kwabena shouted, "Tolu, you dare throw pepper at me? I am Doctor Kwabena. I must have my way with all the virgins in this village. You escaped today, but you will return." He didn't know she had recorded every word. Once she had the evidence, Tolu quietly slipped out of the clinic and left him struggling. After washing his face, Kwabena muttered to himself, "Even if she reports me, no one will believe her. My name is too strong in this village." But that same evening, Tolu went straight to the king's palace to report him. She told the king that there was a serial predator among them, and she had proof, but she wanted the exposure to be public. The king agreed and summoned an emergency town meeting, calling all elders and respected members of Ogidi. He didn't reveal the reason for the meeting to avoid alerting the offender. That evening, everyone gathered, curious about the sudden assembly. Kwabena was there, confident as ever. So were his victims, along with their parents. To his shock, it was Tolu who stepped forward to speak. Kwabena grew uneasy, but still trusted his spotless reputation. He believed no one would believe her. Tolu cleared her throat and said, "There is a man among us who pretends to be kind, but has violated the innocence of our girls. That man is Dr. Kwabena." The crowd gasped. Someone stood and shouted, "What are you saying? Dr. Kwabena is a good man. He saved our children. You must be lying." Kwabena smirked, until Tolu held up the recorder. "I have proof," she said. She played the tape, and Kwabena's voice filled the hall. Every confession, every evil word, clear for all to hear. As silence swept the hall, his victims began to rise one after the other, each sharing her story. The respect people had for him quickly turned into disgust. In Ogidi, defiling a woman was a serious crime, punishable by public flogging after being stripped naked. Kwabena tried to run, but the people caught him. He fell to his knees, crying bitterly. He confessed that he was never like this. He told them about Zainab and how the pain of her being assaulted broke him. But the villagers didn't want to hear it. The parents of the victims demanded justice. The king gave the order. Kwabena would face the punishment of the land. Afterward, he was handed over to the authorities and sentenced to the full years of imprisonment for his crimes. This story teaches the importance of handling our emotions and healing properly from trauma. The world is full of evil, but that doesn't mean we should become part of it. Never let another person's wickedness turn you into a monster, because at the end of the day, we are responsible for our actions, and justice will always find its way. Thank you for listening. If you learned something from this story or a part touched you, let me know. Please share it with others too, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories. Until next time, goodbye.